Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Cannabis Tech Talks. I'm Patricia Miller, managing editor of Cannabis and Tech Today. With me is Roie Edery, founder and CEO of Ginger Commerce. Thanks for joining us, Roie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Today we'll be talking about direct consumer technology, or DTC. And DTC sort of bypasses the retailer. It allows customers to receive the products they love, sometimes at a slightly lower price, directly from the manufacturer brand. And that's sort of where Ginger Commerce comes in, right? So it's an e-commerce platform. And maybe before we dive into all of its functionality, you can tell us a little bit about how you found your way into the cannabis technology space.
Great. Well, again, thanks for having me. My personal background is actually in technology. I was an IT exec for many years, predominantly in the healthcare space. In 2013, with a couple of friends of mine, I decided I wanted to kind of quit corporate America and become an entrepreneur. The cannabis space was sort of red hot at the time. California had not gone recreational, but everyone knew that it was going that direction. And we just decided, hey, let's bring our sort of technology background into what is guaranteed to be an exciting industry. And we started on a journey of building one of the largest on-demand delivery services, a company called Ease, which was launched in the summer of 2014. And I spent the first couple of years running product and operation there. Really learned a lot about cannabis and a lot about B2C consumer behavior in general. I'd sort of been in the IT management space before and just fell in love with both cannabis and how disruptive technology can be for the cannabis space. So after I'd left these, spent a couple of years in manufacturing, sort of learning every part of the supply chain business. So cannabis manufacturing. I had a short stint at a B2B software company as well. And then most recently, prior to Ginger, I founded a sublingual oral spray brand, a product called Click Spray, which is pretty revolutionary and try to fix some of the issues that surround the form factors, such as smoking and other types of products that may not be the healthiest choice for some folks. And through just going through that experience of launching my own brand in California, I felt on my own skin the pain, which is trying to penetrate and maintain a retail presence or deal with the big delivery services. And, as they say, necessity is the mother of all inventions. And we said, you know what, there's got to be a better way to get really great cannabis products in the hands of consumers. And we started working on the Ginger platform.
Wow. So you're applying a ton of background knowledge from all of these different companies. What would you say are the biggest takeaways from those companies that you're kind of applying to Ginger?
Well, look, I think that the power of sort of the power dynamic of this industry is heavily skewed towards the retailer and towards the distributor and delivery service. And unfortunately, the brands are sort of in the back seat there, even though they put in a ton of the risk capital, a lot of the sort of elbow grease in terms of creating something of high quality. They're giving up lots of control and lots of margin. And because of the regulatory framework in California, where there essentially is not enough retail shelf space, you have a very competitive, heavily skewed market where you have more brands than there is shelf space, giving an artificial power to sort of the retail and the supply chain side of the business. And we just said, you know what, let's try to even things out a little bit and build a company that's really there for the brand and really is aligned truly with the brand, not just lip service, not just saying, hey, we help you because we put you on a store shelf, but tomorrow we could also replace you by someone else, but really be there sort of as a long-term partner alongside the brands. And that's kind of the ethos of Ginger from the outset.
So what are the advantages to a brand for working, offering DTC products?
They're numerous. I mean, there's a lot to unpack in that, but I'd say it's just for the highlights. The advantages of DTC is some of it is even the absence of the disadvantages that exist in retail. So in the retail space, the brands are often asked to pay distribution fees, give up a big margin spread between wholesale and retail, and then invest in education for the bud tenders and promotions and discounts. So you have to put all of that effort and capital in. And in the end, you don't get to own the consumer data. The retailer views the customers belonging to them. They do the marketing, they do the sales. You don't get any access to the consumer data. Same goes with the big delivery services and sort of the online platforms. They go and acquire the customer, but then they own that customer. And you as a brand is just sort of a participant in their ecosystem. Versus the DTC world, where absolutely the brand owns the direct customer relationship. So that's something that over time allows you to build a channel that hopefully is profitable, but at the very least, it's one that you control. You own the data, you can control the retail pricing, the behavior, the cadence by which you're marketing to the consumer, and you're not at risk of being deplatformed or kicked out of the store, sometimes through no fault of your own, which is something that often happens in sort of the other two channels that exist in the space.
Yeah, I think that's a super valuable point, is the importance of data. There's so much value in understanding your customer and what they want. What are they buying most often? What are they looking for?
Correct.
What would you say the benefits are for customers who are using this platform?
So the benefits are, I would say they're up to the brand themselves. And that's just something that I also want to make clear. Ginger or DTC as a whole is a platform. So it enables e-commerce, but it isn't e-commerce on its own. There still has to be sort of a marketing effort, a marketing strategy on the brand's behalf to say, okay, now that we're committed to putting a buy now button on our website and basically delivering directly to the consumer, what does that mean for our business, for our brand? How are we growing that, and how are we getting that brand loyalty? Do we want to put in a membership rewards program, or a buyer's club with deep discounts? The more you buy, the more discounts you get, or unique SKUs that are only available online, which some brands are doing. So DTC on its own, is just a platform that enables marketers and brands to come together and really put together the value for the consumer. And those brands that do it right, DTC is a home run.
Okay. And how are retailers responding to this? Because it sounds like might be a little threatening.
I think right now it's still in the early stages. It may be on some retailers' radars, but in the end, I think that they are so inundated with what they're doing and what is going on in their sphere. Again, it's a power dynamic. It's a supply, it's sort of like a supply demand marketplace, where on one hand you have the retailers and on the other hand you have the brands. So long as there's more brands than there are retailers or retail space, then by definition the retailers have the power. So if there's a few brands out there trying to experiment with some other channel, it's not on the radar yet because they're not seeing revenues drop or their power shift. But that day is coming, and I believe that that day will be here when a big portion of brands have about a 5 to 10% revenue mix coming from DTC. When that day comes, that's the day when the sales rep of a brand interfacing with the buyer of a dispensary may not be as flexible as that buyer is used to, right? If that buyer says, hey, I need this discount and you're going to give it to me or I kick you out. And if that sales rep's like, hey, buddy, sorry, take it or leave it. I'm no longer discounting my product. And in fact, I'm not that scared if you kick me out anymore. I think that that's when retailers would really take notice. But maybe when that day comes, it would sort of be a little too late, I would say. Certainly the cat would be out of the bag. So are they, I would say they're right now sort of a mixture of just ignoring this and maybe slightly unhappy. But that's obviously what we're trying to change here with Ginger.
Yeah. Isn't that the way with disruptive tech, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are some other entities kind of doing DTC. What would you say is unique about the way Ginger Commerce is approaching this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the most unique thing about Ginger is that we are built from the ground up to be a DTC company. There's several other players in the market in California. They all got started as a on-demand platform. So just a typical delivery service that has a website with a marketplace with many brands sort of being sold on that platform. And then just sort of saw this trend and this opportunity in DTC and said, hey, I'm already sitting on your inventory. I'm already selling you on my marketplace website. Let me kind of give you a white labeled version of my website. And if you can generate additional demand, I will service that demand and with maybe slightly better unit economics. Where we are different is we are ignoring that side of the business. We are not an on-demand delivery service, and we do not have our own marketplace. And the reason why I point that out and why we think it's critical is, as a brand, if your DTC is with a company that also operates a marketplace website, you're essentially working with your partner is also your competitor. They're your competitor in the digital realm because you're both competing and spending ad dollars to try to capture a customer and keep that customer and service that customer. If your DTC provider also operates that marketplace, they have an unfair advantage because they see your data. They see where you're advertising. They see where your data sources are coming from, where your pockets of users are coming from, and where you're putting your ad dollars. And typically, the big platform players would have a larger ad budget than any individual brand. Maybe on aggregate, that's not true, but individually, yes. So they can outspend you. They can see what you're doing, outspend you, and grab those customers, either the actual customers away from you, or at the very least, go and sort of saturate the pool of customers that you're trying to advertise to and bring them to the marketplace. So we saw that as a huge red flag, a huge conflict of interest, and decided at Ginger to never operate a sort of marketplace website. If folks want to operate them, that's on them. But my humble advice to certainly the brands that I work with and our customers is sell your product to those businesses, but not in a DTC fashion, because that's kind of the point. You're essentially hiring them. You're giving them your product in wholesale. So they're keeping the margin spread between wholesale and retail, but that's legitimately theirs because they're advertising and they're capturing that customer and retaining that customer. So I say to brands, have your product in every store you can, work with any delivery service you can, and just collect your wholesale fee. But when it comes to your DTC, that's your customer. And the last thing you want is the marketplace guys or the retailers to see that customer. You want to keep that customer secretly tucked away in your CRM database and not let anyone have any access to that data.
That's your lead. Yeah. It's the most valuable thing you've got, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're paying for that too, right? Because traffic doesn't come for free. I mean, some of it, maybe, someone could have bought the product in a store, read your website on the packaging and kind of organically visited, but that's probably not the lion's share of visits. It's primarily what you're doing on ad spend, whether it's programmatic, out of home, billboards, you name it, right? Sponsored content, podcasts, etc. But that all translates to dollars. So you've essentially paid for these customers to come to your website. And so they're your property. Legitimately owning that data is your property. And like I said, last thing you want is a third party to sort of see that data and have access to them, whether they market to them directly or even if they don't. There's a lot of marketing tactics today that are being deployed where even if you have access to a group of users, if you're not marketing to them directly, you can run them through these scrubbers that create lookalikes where you can see the friends of friends and hyper target that group of people as an aggregate. So just even being able to get access to that data on aggregate gives whoever has access to that data a very big advantage. And ultimately that could translate into a less performing cohort than you would otherwise hope if they didn't have that data.
Well, let's talk about the data that brands are able to collect through Ginger. So I guess what kind of data are they getting and how are they able to view it?
Yeah, so with Ginger, we have a client dashboard. So when brands sign up with us, we built a lot of tools into our platform that'll give them visibility around transactional data. They get to see a real time report of all the customer data. We use a BI tool that has some plugins with some canned reports, but I think one of the things that, again, we pride ourselves is sort of put our money where our mouth is. We've created an integrations marketplace where we support, I would say, probably hundreds of the most popular tools that are commonly being used in sort of the e-commerce world. So that's all the popular CRMs, the popular survey and email marketing platforms, and even the business intelligence and other sort of communication tools out there. So when a brand comes to us and says we use Slack for communications and, Klaviyo for email marketing, you name it, QuickBooks for our accounting, we do a very seamless integration and ship them the raw data, including the contact info into their CRM. So, it's not just, okay, you tell me that contractually I have access to the data, but what if one day you turn off my access and then I've lost my customer database? We make it very easy for them to get a real-time copy of the data into a CRM that they control. So when you sign up with Ginger, you get all of that, a lot of very simple tools that are sort of built in, but we've democratized the brands' data and we'll navigate it to whatever sort of popular tools they ask us to navigate it into.
Wow, that's versatile. How are customers protected in this instance? Like, how is their data secured?
So, obviously, from a data integrity and security perspective, we use sort of best practices that are commonly used in terms of encryption and those kinds of things. So that's sort of on that level. And then in terms of just integrity of the data and making sure that it doesn't fall into the hands that it shouldn't, then essentially when the customer signs up and makes a purchase, they're agreeing to the terms of service of the website. So that would be of the brand. And in there is some language around our platform, but they're agreeing to the fact that their data belongs to the brand because they've transacted with the brand. Ginger is just a white label kind of enabler behind the scenes and nothing more. So they already know, they're being made aware that their data belongs to the brand, that they're transacting with the brand. And we contractually are prohibited from doing anything with that data unless we do it on behalf of the brand and at the request of the brand.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. I'm curious to know, that now that you've got it going and you're learning about your customers and clients, what have you got on the horizon? Are you hoping to expand its functionality? Any new services, capabilities coming up?
Yeah, it's ever changing, right? Technology never stands still, and you're always improving and adding features. One area that we know our customers need a lot of help in is basically demand, right? So it's one thing when there's really great technology on your website to make it seamless to make a purchase, and that the fact that we can do the white labeled delivery for them, that's great. The logistics and the tech is great, but that again doesn't generate a sale. You need to drive traffic to the website. So today we're relying on partners to do that, where if brands come to us and say they need help in that area, we refer them to a few trusted sources. But we are working behind the scenes feverishly with those sources to create a much more integrated package of services for Ginger. So one day soon, a Ginger client can basically sort of have a, call it business in a box, right? You join Ginger, you can get demand, you can get technology, and you can get logistics all kind of under one umbrella. And then it's just kind of a budget game. And, that's the most you can hope for. And at the end, after that, it's just, you got to have a good product at a good price. And if you do, there's no reason why you shouldn't succeed.
And are you hoping to, because right now you're localized to California, or are you nationwide?
No, right now we're only in California, but we're certainly looking to expand beyond. We basically are primarily a technology play. In California, we have our own logistics, but in other markets, it's not to say that we would have to, and we would be open to partnering with others. And those are kind of the conversations we're having with folks that have like the large MSOs, et cetera, that have the licensing, they have the infrastructure. They don't have the technology or even the team that is really dedicated to something like this, and we can kind of partner with them. We do know from speaking to a lot of our brand customers is that they would absolutely love to have as much of a consolidated database and shopping experience throughout all the states that they're in. I mean, as you know, as the listeners know, every brand worth their salt is looking to expand beyond whatever state or states they're currently in. It's just just a natural way of doing things. And setting up retail relationships and distribution relationships in every new market is challenging. And it also takes time. Yeah. Versus digital. If you've already cracked the code on here's how I'm acquiring a digital customer, here's where I'm doing my ads, here's how my marketing team sends the emails and gets them to like a second, third, and fourth order. If you've got all of that figured out, that is universal. It's countrywide. So now all you have to do is have the product in that state and have the ability to deliver it. But you don't, say if you're in California and then you go into Illinois, you don't sort of hit the reset button on now trying to get into 200 shops. You're already there. Just deploy your marketing strategy, just sort of increase your ad budget and increase the territory where you're serving ads. And you should see somewhat similar results. And I think that that's sort of the most exciting thing about e-commerce is that it's an untapped bucket of users, and it is a much faster way to proliferate and be able to cover a large territory without the time and effort that it takes to get into retail. Not to say that's the only thing that they would do, but if you started, imagine a brand that's in 400 stores in California and simultaneously is also crushing it on DTC. And then they went into Illinois, whatever state, and then they went in head to head. Day one, they're deploying their digital marketing strategy and they're deploying an army of sales reps to get them into shops. Like which one is going to succeed faster? I would imagine that technology is much more scalable and you can do it for less money and less time.
That's a killer point and super exciting. I'll be interested to see how you're able to roll that out on a larger scale. For people like myself who are interested to kind of see that rollout, where can we follow what Ginger's doing and keep up with the story?
We're very active on LinkedIn. Obviously, our website will get updated as there's more to share, and there'll be some press releases coming in the next couple of months as well. So, yeah, we are, though we are a B2B brand, we're sort of an industry kind of internal brand. Consumers don't know or hear of us. We completely white label the solution. So our brand is not a consumer brand, but if you're in the industry, we're very active and visible, and we want to sort of get the word out. And quite frankly, not just about Ginger, but as for the category as well. It's very healthy for us that DTC grows, because it means that brands are going to sort of upgrade their internal talent as it relates to digital marketing. More dollars will go into the advertising universe, which will sort of benefit everyone. So we're here not only to grow our own brand portfolio, but just help sort of shepherd this new channel that truly we believe is the one channel that puts the power back into the hands of the brand, which is where it belongs anyways.
I love it. Super cool insights, Roie. I really appreciate you sharing that with us and kind of diving into the world of DTC, because I think we're going to see more of that as the cannabis industry kind of expands. For our listeners out there, definitely check us out on Cannabis Tech Talks on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And also the fall issue of Cannabis and Tech Today is out now. So find your local Barnes & Noble and go pick up a copy if you can. Until next time, I think we've got some killer insights today. So this is Patricia Miller and Roie Edery signing off.
Today's episode of Cannabis Tech Talks is brought to you by Hardy Diagnostics. Hardy Diagnostics is an American company that manufactures and sells bacteriological culture media, reagents, automated microscope slide staining machines, and rapid identification kits for microbiological testing in clinical, research, and industrial laboratories. Hardy Diagnostics is proud to be partnering with cannabis testing and cannabis science laboratories to ensure that cannabis products are safe for consumers. Hardy offers a wide range of pathogen detection and environmental monitoring products. At Hardy Diagnostics, you will find a complete selection of laboratory and microbiology supplies for the clinical, industrial, and molecular biology labs. See their amazing line of products. Go to hardydiagnostics.com.